Welcome to my channel Soft Feminine. It started with curiosity, a flicker of thought that refused to leave me alone. I was rummaging through my sister's wardrobe one quiet evening, the house wrapped in stillness. My hands hovered over skirts, blouses, shoes, each piece soft, delicate, filled with a faint perfume that clung to the fabric like a memory. I told myself I was just curious. Just exploring. Just seeing. And then I picked up a dress. A soft, flowing thing in deep blue, with lace at the neckline, and everything changed. My hands shook as I lifted it from the hanger. I could feel the silk in my fingers, the warmth, the smoothness. It called to me in a way I hadn't anticipated. Heart racing, I slipped the dress over my head. The fabric slid across my skin like water, hugging my chest, tracing my arms. I froze. The mirror in the corner caught my reflection, and I almost didn't recognize myself. My face looked softer, my shoulders less rigid. My eyes, my own eyes, reflected a mixture of shock, fear, and something I couldn't name. Something thrilling. What is this? I whispered to my reflection, voice trembling. I took a tentative step closer to the mirror, tilting my head, adjusting the dress, studying the curves it revealed. My stomach knotted, my chest tightened, and yet I couldn't tear my eyes away. I felt exposed, vulnerable, yet alive in a way I had never been before. A nervous laugh escaped me, small, almost embarrassed. This feels strange. But also, right? I reached up, brushing my hair back. My reflection mirrored the motion, soft and alive. Every subtle movement, the sway of my hips, the tilt of my chin, the arch of my eyebrows, felt electric. Part of me screamed to stop, to put it back, to hide it. But another part, the part I'd ignored for years, buzzed with curiosity and delight. I realized then, trembling, that this wasn't just about clothes. It wasn't about pretending. It was about discovering a side of me I had never allowed myself to explore. And in that moment, I understood something both terrifying and exhilarating. I wanted to become her. The next morning, nothing felt ordinary anymore. I got out of bed, my muscles tense, my heart still hammering from the memory of last night. Even the simplest routines, brushing my teeth, washing my face, grabbing a shirt, felt loaded, as if I were performing under a spotlight no one else could see. Every glance at my reflection made my chest tighten. Every movement felt hyper-aware, every shadow in the room seemed to carry judgment. Breakfast was a battlefield. My sister sat across from me, munching on toast, humming. My mom sipped her coffee, scrolling through her phone. I tried to act normal, attempted small talk, but my voice sounded strange to my own ears. "You're quiet today," my sister said, glancing up with curiosity. "Yeah, just tired," I muttered, hoping I didn't betray the storm raging inside me. Her eyes narrowed slightly, skeptical. I could feel her curiosity prying at my defenses. My stomach churned. Every word, every movement, felt like it might reveal too much. At work, it only intensified. The fluorescent lights, the hum of computers, the chatter of colleagues, it all felt amplified. Each glance, each smile, each passing remark seemed charged with unspoken scrutiny. I felt like I was walking on a stage, with invisible cameras recording every misstep. "Everything okay?" Mark asked, leaning casually against my desk. I forced a smile. "Yeah, fine," I said, though my voice trembled slightly. He hesitated, something flickering in his expression, and I felt a sudden wave of embarrassment. My usual confidence, the invisible armor I had relied on, felt fragile, almost non-existent. Lunch was worse. I picked at my sandwich mechanically, aware of every glance from colleagues. Their laughter, their whispered comments, real or imagined, gnawed at my nerves. I wanted to disappear, to melt into the floor, to vanish entirely. On the bus ride home, I stared at my reflection in the darkened windows. My posture was awkward, my hands fidgeted, and every movement felt amplified. Yet, through it all, I caught glimpses of last night. The thrill, the excitement, the strange recognition of a self I had long ignored. It was intoxicating, terrifying, impossible to turn away from. By the time I got home, I was trembling. I rushed to my bedroom, slammed the door, and collapsed on the bed. My hands gripped the sheets as I struggled to calm my racing thoughts. What am I doing? Who am I becoming? Can I ever go back? Even lying there, I could feel the tug, the part of me awakened by her clothes, by the reflection, by the forbidden thrill of exploration. It was alive, insistent, persistent. And I knew one thing with absolute clarity: nothing would ever feel the same again. That night, I couldn't sleep. The memory of the dress, the way it had felt against my skin, haunted me. My room felt smaller, charged with tension and possibility. I found myself standing at the wardrobe again, fingers hovering over the soft fabrics I had only dared to touch before. Just one more time, I whispered. Just to see, just to understand. The house was silent. Every creak, every distant hum, sounded amplified. My hands shook as I lifted a blouse, running my fingers along the silky fabric. I could feel the warmth, the texture, the way it seemed to beckon me. My pulse raced. My stomach twisted. I slipped it over my head. The fabric slid against my skin, smooth and electric. My chest rose and fell rapidly. My reflection in the mirror made me pause. It was me, and yet, not entirely. Softer. Smaller. Different. Alive. I experimented slowly, deliberately. A skirt, a blouse, subtle touches here and there. Each layer felt like stepping deeper into a self I had only glimpsed in dreams. I adjusted seams, smoothed wrinkles, tilted my chin, observed the sway of my hips. Every small motion sent shivers through me, a mix of fear, excitement, and exhilaration. Then I spotted the makeup kit tucked in a drawer, another secret, another world waiting to be explored. Lip gloss, mascara, blush, tools I had previously only admired from afar. My hands trembled as I opened it. My first attempts were clumsy. Uneven eyeliner, smudged mascara, too much blush. I wiped it off and started again. Every small improvement sent a thrill racing through my body. My reflection began to look more like the person I had been discovering, more like her, more like me. I practiced my voice too, soft and tentative at first, then with growing confidence. I whispered sentences aloud, experimenting with pitch, tone, cadence. Each trial reinforced the strange, intoxicating feeling that this wasn't performance, it was recognition. Time lost all meaning. Minutes stretched into hours. I traced the contours of my face, adjusted my hair, and studied my reflection. For the first time, I wasn't hiding. I was seeing, truly seeing, a self that had been waiting for acknowledgement. Tears stung my eyes, not from shame, not from fear, but from relief, from awe, from the strange, overwhelming joy of discovering myself. When I finally removed the clothes, folded them neatly, and placed them back in the drawer, I realized the reflection I left behind was no longer complete. Not wrong, not false, just waiting. Waiting for me to step into her, into myself, fully. Because once you glimpse who you truly are, you can't unsee it. The first time I stepped outside wearing her clothes, my entire body screamed at me. It wasn't dramatic, a simple blouse, fitted jeans, shoes that felt light, but it felt like walking onto a stage without a script. Every nerve was alive, every heartbeat magnified. I felt exposed, raw, and terrified, yet exhilarated in a way I had never imagined. You can still turn back, I whispered to myself. No one has to know. But I didn't. I wanted to see what it felt like. I wanted to exist in this new version of me, even if only for a moment. The street was quiet. The evening air brushed against my cheeks, cool and grounding. Every footstep was deliberate. I tested my posture, the sway of my hips, the cadence of my voice. Even the simplest gestures felt electric. A few people walked by. Some glanced at me. Some didn't notice. No one laughed. No one stared. Nothing catastrophic happened. And yet, my chest heaved with intensity. Every step, every passing glance, every slight sound of the city felt magnified. I ducked into a cafe, heart still racing. The bell above the door chimed, making my pulse jump. "Hi there," said the barista, smiling warmly, oblivious to the storm inside me. I nodded, whispered my order, and slid into a corner seat. Across from me, the window reflected the soft glow of streetlights, and me, fully visible, fully alive. I studied myself, noticing small details I had never considered. The way my hair caught the light, the subtle sway of the blouse, the expression in my eyes. My breath caught. This was me. Not a performance. Not a disguise. Just me. Over the following weekends, I tested boundaries further: walks in the park, stops at bookstores, quick errands. Each outing was an experiment in presence, in confidence, in inhabiting this version of myself fully. There were awkward moments. A woman gave me a curious look. A man hesitated before speaking. My chest tightened. My palms sweated. But I persisted. I smiled. I responded. I existed. Each small victory, successful conversations, casual glances, unbothered passers-by, added layers of confidence I had never known. I practiced gestures, voice, posture. Each adjustment reinforced a simple truth: I could live in this identity, even in public. One evening, walking home under dim streetlights, I paused before a shop window. My reflection glowed softly in the glass. I studied myself for a long moment, and for the first time, I didn't flinch. I didn't shrink. I smiled. It wasn't someone pretending. It wasn't an act. It was me, finally showing up fully in the world. And in that quiet, shining moment, I realized something profound: the world hadn't changed. I had. And in that change, I had discovered power, freedom, and authenticity I had never known existed. I should have known my secret wouldn't stay hidden forever. It happened on an ordinary evening. I had spent the day at work, feeling lighter, freer, more like myself than I ever had. My outfit, carefully chosen, made me feel confident, comfortable, alive. I had practiced these small outings, honed my gestures, refined my movements, but nothing could have prepared me for the collision with reality. I arrived home earlier than expected, stepping softly through the hallway, when I froze. Shoes by the door. Not mine. A wave of panic shot through me. My chest tightened. My palms were slick with sweat. Someone was home. The door to the living room was slightly ajar. I could hear her voice, calm and steady, and my heart sank. "In the living room," she called casually. I hesitated, every instinct screaming at me to hide, to retreat, to vanish. But I didn't. I stepped inside, trembling, heart racing. I wasn't ready for confrontation. I hadn't anticipated this. I wasn't ready to be fully seen. Her eyes met mine, calm, patient, searching, not judgmental, not amused, just present. "Oh," she said softly. I can explain," I stammered. "I didn't. I wasn't trying." She raised a hand, stopping me mid-rush. "Breathe," she said gently. I inhaled, exhaled, trying to obey. My voice cracked when I spoke again. I didn't mean for anyone to find out. I wasn't planning. I wasn't." She waited, letting the silence stretch, holding the space without judgment. My mind raced through every possible outcome: ridicule, anger, rejection, confusion. I braced myself for every scenario. Then she asked the simplest question: "How long?" The calmness, the normalcy of the question, broke me. "A while," I whispered. I didn't plan it. It just happened." Her gaze softened, focusing on me, not the clothes, not the makeup, not the hair, just me. "You look scared," she said. I admitted. "Because I don't know how to go back." Silence hung heavy. My chest heaved. My mind screamed to retreat, to explain, to apologize. But the part of me that had been growing, thriving, discovering, insisted I stay. She leaned slightly forward. "Are you hurting anyone?" "No," I breathed. "Are you forcing this on anyone?" "No." "Does it feel right to you?" I hesitated. All the old fears pressed down: judgment, shame, ridicule. Yet beneath them, a spark flared, undeniable. "Yes," I whispered. "It feels right. More right than anything ever has." She nodded slowly. "Then why would I want to take that away from you?" The tension inside me shattered. My hands fell to my lap. My chest unclenched. Tears burned in my eyes, unbidden, from relief, from joy, from the terrifying thrill of being fully seen. "I was so scared," I admitted, voice breaking. I thought you'd hate me." "I don't hate you," she said softly. "I hate that you felt like you had to hide." It was the pivotal moment. The choice I had been avoiding, the one that had haunted me every night. To hide, or to embrace. To retreat into my old life, or step fully into the person I had discovered. I can't go back, I said quietly. Even if it costs me things. She nodded, unwavering. Then don't. In that instant, fear became freedom. The walls I had built crumbled, replaced with the possibility of living fully and authentically. The anxiety of discovery, the dread of judgment, all of it melted into empowerment. For the first time, I realized, embracing myself wasn't reckless. It was necessary. And I would never look back. After that confrontation, life didn't magically transform overnight. The world kept spinning, routines continued, but something inside me had shifted irrevocably. The next morning, I lingered in front of the mirror longer than usual. Not to critique, not to compare, but to connect. My reflection wasn't a stranger anymore. It was me, fully visible, fully present. I traced the contours of my face, ran my fingers along my hair, and smoothed the blouse I had chosen carefully. It felt like armor, yes, but soft armor, protective yet expressive of the person I had become. How do I want to show up today? I asked quietly. The answer came instinctively. I dressed deliberately, intentionally, not dramatic, not flashy, just authentic. Every choice in clothing, every accessory, every detail reflected who I had grown into. I didn't hide. I didn't apologize. I simply existed, fully and unapologetically. Stepping into the living room, she looked up and smiled. "You look good," she said simply. "Not brave. Not different. Just good." And that small acknowledgement, unadorned and honest, carried more weight than any elaborate praise could. At work, I didn't announce my transformation. I didn't seek validation. I didn't explain myself. I simply stopped shrinking. I spoke when I had something to say. I moved naturally, without hesitation, without fidgeting. Colleagues noticed, paused, glanced, but I didn't falter. Every interaction became a quiet assertion of presence, a subtle victory. Outside of work, I explored spaces where I could fully inhabit this identity. Cafes, parks, bookstores, even casual strolls through familiar streets. Each outing was an opportunity to practice confidence, poise, and presence. I experimented with gestures, voice, posture. Each adjustment reinforced a fundamental truth. I could live in this identity openly, gracefully, without fear consuming me. Slowly, the constant anxiety that had dominated my life began to fade. Not completely. There were still moments of doubt, tension, fleeting self-consciousness, but it no longer dictated my choices. Curiosity, excitement, and pride replaced fear as my primary guides. I discovered communities I had once only admired from a distance, people who understood without explanation, who offered encouragement, guidance, and support, who celebrated authenticity rather than questioned it. I experimented with new hairstyles, clothes, even voice inflection. Each small change, each experiment, built a foundation of self-acceptance stronger than I had ever known. One evening, walking home under dim streetlights, I paused in front of a shop window. My reflection caught the light perfectly, and I stopped. I studied myself, every detail, every curve, every subtle movement. I didn't flinch. I didn't shrink. I smiled. It wasn't someone pretending. It wasn't a role. It was me, fully, authentically, undeniably me. Empowerment, I realized, isn't the absence of fear. It isn't perfection. It isn't public approval. It's showing up. It's existing fully in your truth. It's stepping into the world, even when uncertainty lingers, and choosing yourself anyway. For the first time, I could say it aloud. I wasn't just surviving. I was thriving. Sometimes, late at night, I think back to that first moment, the one where I stood before her wardrobe, trembling, heart hammering, hands hovering over skirts and blouses I wasn't supposed to touch. The thrill, the fear, the electric mix of curiosity and terror, it all feels so vivid even now. Back then, I thought I was just exploring clothes. I never imagined I would find myself. I never imagined that underneath the hesitation, underneath the fear, there was someone waiting patiently for me all along. Now, I know the truth. I didn't become someone new. I discovered someone I had always been. Someone brave. Someone authentic. Someone whole. There are still moments of doubt. There are days when fear or insecurity whispers at the edges. But I don't shrink anymore. I don't apologize for existing. I've learned that authenticity is stronger than fear, and courage isn't the absence of doubt, it's moving forward despite it. To anyone watching this, anyone who has stood in front of a mirror, hand frozen on the doorknob, heart racing, unsure if they can take the next step, you can. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. You don't need anyone else to define your worth. Transformation isn't just about clothes, hair, or makeup. It's about honesty. It's about courage. It's about stepping into your life fully, unapologetically, authentically. For me, it began with her wardrobe. It ended with me, fully, unapologetically, undeniably me. And I've never felt more alive.